Good job, Mr. President. Oh, my thumbs keep on going down. I don't know what's happening. Ooh, hiss. No. So the Patriot systems, Ukraine got permission or theoretical permission to produce in Ukraine. And what am I talking about with my thumbs going down, clapping initially? I think that's the reaction. Everybody's initially cheering it. I was like, wow, we have an ally now. Finally, the president has, seen the light. But let's unwind a few things. Just based on what I know, I'm an economist and I'm an academic economist. I'm always skeptical of any kind of data, any claim, any statement. And the claim is they'll be able to produce it. Okay, let's qualify that. What does it mean produce? And my claim is production of Patriot systems internally in Ukraine, based on my understanding of economics, is, 2030, 2029, 2028, in a very optimistic scenario. Let's go through this. My father, his whole career, he worked for United Aircraft, which came United Technologies, which came UTC, which became Raytheon, and just my tangential understanding of how production processes work for any high-tech equipment. It's a logistical time for, supply chain that's immense, has restrictions. They'll have to vet people for clearance. And this I can't see coming to fruition until 2028 at the maximum. And really, it's a 2030s type deal. So why is he doing this? I'll give you an example. If I was like an evil genius, Phantom Menace, often confuse things, and this may not be the reason. This might be, again, just buying time. Starting, this debacle in Iran will, make the claim that the U.S. doesn't have much Patriot systems. Ukraine needs Patriot systems now, today, yesterday. They don't need it in 5 years. 5 years, everything will be different. The whole things are changing exponentially like a scientific S-curve. You say, well, really, they can make it faster. They're better. Yes, Ukrainians have this knack for decentralization. They follow Adam Smith, the Austrian school of Mises, Hayek, decentralization. Schumpeter, Schumacher, small is beautiful. Popper, science is an iterative process type thing. And this decentralization is eons beyond the Russian centralized Soviet style. Even Russia has this, I think it's this, the Bureau 1440 trying to replace, Starlink. And I think one of their satellites fell from the ground. So it's not a very efficient system, let's call it the Soviet system. They also have Rubicon, which is effective, in action, but it's very top down again, and Ukraine keeps on pounding the, headquarters of these, unlike Ukraine's decentralization. And economics and supply chain and capital lengthening really is about decentralization. Let me give you a specific example. If, let's say the country of Nigeria buys a Tesla and then they reverse engineer or strip it down, understand everything about it, they still couldn't produce Tesla because they need all the 10,000 little components and things going into it and a supply chain to get this going. So the Patriot systems, my point is, it's not about getting a piece of paper and a license. Congratulations, we're all winners. Port brandy and cigars, congratulating ourselves for being masters of the universe. And Ukraine knows this. It's about supply chain, permission, logistics, and components, which are in scarcity now because some, I don't know what is going on in Iran and why, but whatever. Are there replacements? Yes. Franco-Italian producers have SAMPT, I believe, batteries that can replace the Patriots, but not in mass, not the type of production that Ukraine needs. Is there anything else? Really, defensive systems, it's an iterative layer of, drone swarms. For every type of offensive weapon, you need a defense. This is the one component, because of the speed of the ballistic missiles, that are very hard to replace, and they need this thermal tracking with this, Patriot systems. That's a hard replacement. All right, don't put it past Ukraine to think of something out of the box to be able to do that. But right now, offensive weapons are more powerful than defensive weapons. It's like we went from World War I to World War II. and it's the offensive weapons of the queen of the battlefield. Russia has these, like, by estimate, 700 Iskander missiles and maybe 200 to 300 that are actively, available, and they have productions to replace that. That's not good news for Ukraine because they need these defenses. And if I was really the U.S. president, first thing I wouldn't do is on July 4th, 250th anniversary, I remember the 200th anniversary, what I would do is I would be with the people. I would be with homeless shelters. I'd be like with immigrants. I'd be with hardworking Americans, rolling up my sleeves in ordinary clothes and meeting them. That would be my presidential celebration for the Americans. Instead, he locks himself in a room, 85-minute call with the president of Russia. We don't know what was said. We will never know what was said. Only the translators know, sworn to secrecy. I don't know those translators, but that transcript can never be released probably. And oftentimes they are never, ever released, maybe in 25 years, 30, but probably never. That's a closed door conversation. So what the Machiavellian behind the scenes things are happening with political theater, I can only speculate. But if I was the president of the United States and I really wanted to support Ukraine, I'd say, come on, guys, we as a team have to support democracy and get the backs of people who believe in freedom, democracy, justice, and making this toward a better place. Well, let's see what we as a team can do. That's not what I hear. I hear about more political theater about Spain, about Greenland again. And so these Patriot systems, this, permission to get Patriot systems is a nothing burger for me. Poland, country of Poland, I'm living here. I'm Polish too. They bought a lot of stuff from the U.S. A lot of it, our future tech, our past tech, like Abrams tanks. A lot of it comes delivered to 2035. The Polish government are kind of annoyed. They spent a lot of money, increased the debt, paying U.S., buying things from the U.S., when the reality on the ground is changing so rapidly. Everything's becoming air, drone, robotics. Robots should be, and drones and space things, and even defense against biologicals and CRISPR. That's the thing that matters, not tanks and battleships being deployed 2035, inflate the debt. I know they're doing their best. I would have taken a little bit of a different strategy. They didn't ask me. I'm an economist. I know these things, production and scaling. I understand it. Even from, if you ever played, games, when you want to produce a particular unit in a game, in a strategic game, it's not coming instantaneously, and you need specific resources to draw it out. And technologies change so fast. So my key point in my thesis is these missile defense systems that Ukraine desperately needs, and it is what Ukraine needs. They need a leadership in the U.S. and free world and Europe to come together and say, we're going to help that. Maybe Germany's probably the highest probability of providing something substantial in the short term. And I know a lot of people are working on it, and I'm hoping for a breakthrough. And again, these are defensive things, not offensive. So, there's a lot of humanitarian plausibility. I guess earlier warning systems. What can Ukraine help? Everybody, batten down the hatches. What can Ukraine do? They can hit the launch pads. They can hit the targeting the factories are not necessarily the most effective. More effective is targeting Omsk. Oh, that's not a meditation. That's Ukraine hitting Omsk factory, hats off, hitting, I think it's CDU or something, 10 and 11, direct hit. A lot of people said it was symbolic that they can go 2,500 meters. It's not symbolic. That was like ramming a stake into vampire's heart and saying that's a flesh wound. They can target things like that, keep on targeting this infrastructure, wear down the Russian economy. And that's what I mean. It's all about the economics. So my point being, again, we don't have a solution. I want to give you a solution, but having a contract for future production, in my humble opinion, as an economist, understanding supply chain and the way factories work, you've always got a bottleneck. You can, in mass production, it works on an assembly line unless you don't have one component. That's not the solution that Ukraine needs. The war could be over in 3 years. The war could be over in 2 years, 5 years by the time that comes to fruition. What you need is a real solution. And that real solution, I believe, still is going to come from economics, hitting this diesel, this refineries, hitting the launch pads, and researching through a decentralized. Think about Linux, a decentralized, or a browser like Chrome started off as a decentralized Firefox. decentralized project, you have thousands of minds plugging into this idea of how can we solve the problem of defense, of protection of innocent lives. So, sorry if I'm a little bit using my objective thinking, critical thinking, the buzzwords of today, brain to be skeptical. And I should be, jumping on the bandwagon and singing the hurrah, kumbaya that we've got these defense systems. But I want to see something tangible. I want to see something delivered today and tomorrow to help the poor suffering souls of Ukraine against the defense of the evil empire. And until that time, Ukraine's got to keep pounding and hitting the rear of Russia until it hurts, until internally, hopefully the Russians will, have some moment and they see that to make the world a better place, we can't have despotism. We need democracy, transparency, and everybody working together. Maybe that will happen. We have to pray for it. My name is Mark Biernot. I'm a monetary economist. Have a beautiful day. Thank you very much.